Lamine Yamal. Oh my god, what a player. You see flashes of Messi. That's bad news for Real Madrid. You're not always going to be on top. You're going to face challenges. Too much of a party boy right now. Stay focused on becoming the best player in the world for many, many years. That's a stupid rule, by the way. I think FIFA needs to change that rule. What a game. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast of Let's Talk Footy. My name is Shaheen, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, so let's get right to it. First and foremost, we got to speak about the Champions League games. Arsenal ended up losing to PSG 1-0 at home. It was a very, very good game. Both teams tried to play proper football. Arsenal wasn't as deadly as maybe everybody expected them to be, but it was still a good game. They tried to attack. They tried to use their strengths to manipulate the PSG defense and expose them and be able to penetrate like they are used to doing. However, PSG was just good defensively. They were organized. They had a game plan, and they got a very early goal through Dembélé, who has been amazing this season so far. But they were able to use that early goal to their advantage and get organized, get their shape back, and try to then hit Arsenal on the counterattack. Now, they were not able to score a second goal or a third goal thanks to some good saves from both goalkeepers, but let's start talking about Raya. Raya made one or two really good saves. The one especially with his right foot where he had to get low very quickly to save a very powerful shot with his right hand. Even though Arsenal conceded an early goal and lost the first game at home 1-0, they were able to not concede more goals and just keep it at 1-0 and take that to the second game, which I think is still not bad. Now, speaking about PSG, Donnarumma this season has been fabulous, and once again against Arsenal with some of the saves he made, sometimes you just feel like a team or some players just are having the season of their lifetime. Like a few seasons ago where Benzema was just everything he was touching was going in for him, especially in the Champions League where Real Madrid was able to make multiple comebacks because of his goals and eventually win the Champions League. And something like that is never going to happen again, and he was just on fire. Literally everything he was touching was going into the back of the net. You'd feel like Donnarumma is having one of those seasons as a goalkeeper. He's making consistently really, really, really top saves, and he was able to keep a clean sheet away from home against Arsenal, and now they have a very healthy 1-0 lead going into the second leg in France. So a really good win for PSG, and it's going to be a very exciting second leg. Arsenal has to come and score, so they're going to be very direct, and they're going to try to take the game to PSG's half. They're going to try to maintain possession around the edge and inside the box of PSG, and PSG is going to try to use and utilize their deadly fast attacking players to hit them in the counterattack. And with the players they have, with the form they're in, they're gonna score goals. We know there's definitely going to be goals scored in that second game of PSG versus Arsenal, and I think once again the team that scores early or the first goal is going to most likely go through, but you never know in soccer. Right now, we just finished watching Inter Milan versus Barcelona. Obviously, Barcelona was the home team. 3-3, and what a game. Oh my god, I don't even know where to begin. Inter Milan scores an early goal, but Barcelona just looks so deadly in attack. And yes, Rafinha has been on fire. Yes, Lewandowski, even though he was injured this game, has been great this season. But Lamine Yamal, oh my god, to be 17 years old and to be this good, this consistent, and this effective inside the box, in and around the box, have this understanding, like the dummy for Barcelona's goal. I don't know if it was the second or the third goal, but the dummy from the corner kick to leave it for Rafinha to have that shot and to score that beautiful goal, even though I think it's going to count as an own goal because it came off the goalkeeper. That's a stupid rule, by the way. I think FIFA needs to change that rule. That should be Rafinha's goal. That's like some of the assists when players don't even mean to touch the ball or whatever, and they get a random assist, or in this case a random own goal when it was Rafinha taking a beautiful shot. It was on target, it came off the crossbar, and it just bounced off of the goalkeeper. But anyways, we're not going to get into that. But going back to Lamine Yamal, What a player. It's not just his technical skills, it's not just his quick feet, his agility, it's not just his ability to go to his right but also to his left, which makes it very, very difficult to play against. Defenders struggle because they don't know if they should force him out to his right foot or they should force him out to his inside to his strong left foot. He's so good on both sides, and you see flashes of Messi. This is one of the reasons was Messi was so good, but it's also his understanding of the game. Like that dummy is a great example of it. Like at that age, to be aware of your surroundings, to have that chemistry, that game understanding, to know where defenders are, to know where your teammates are, to make right decisions consistently. It's very, very, very impressive. It really is. Once again, I'm going to say it. I think everybody knows this. There's little flashes of Messi, and Messi just looked out of this world on another level, and Lamine Yamal is looking like that. But Messi was able to do that for decades, and he was able to do it at the highest level. He was able to stay almost injury free. Obviously, he had a few small injuries, but overall, nothing serious. And he was able to maintain that, and every year he was able to improve and become more and more effective. And then he had a rival in Cristiano Ronaldo, and they kept pushing each other. Now there is a handful of great talent, young talent out there, so there will be that external motivation. But I think what's important for Lamine Yamal is to stay consistent, continue growing, continue getting better, not think he's, all of a sudden this great player. There's so much more he can learn, and there's so much development to be done yet. So he needs to keep his feet on the ground. He needs to stay humble, and he needs to know that with great players around him, in great competitions, with great coaching, he's only going to get better, and he needs to be open to that, and he needs to stay injury free. With the number of games happening these days, you see so many injuries. Again, even in this game, so many injuries for Barcelona. Both their fullbacks are not injured. Inter Milan had their injuries, and you never know. There's so many minutes on these players. He is young. His body should be receptive to that. His body should be able to handle that much pressure because he's just young. He's just young, and he should be okay. But again, the number of games, he just played the Euros. He won the Euros with Spain. He's playing every game for Barcelona. In the summer, there's the Club World Cup. Then next season starts. Then International World Cup starts next summer. So obviously there's a lot of games, and let's hope all players obviously stay injury free. But let's hope Lamine Yamal continues to grow. And this is coming from a Real Madrid fan. Barcelona youngster, like if he ends up becoming like Messi or better, that's bad news for Real Madrid. But he's a joy to watch. These players are once in a generation type of thing, and have to just enjoy watching them. One of my friends, I was watching the game while FaceTiming with one of my close friends, and he was saying this season you're more of a Barca hater than a Real fan. And it's kind of true because Real Madrid is not having a good season, so I just can't have Barcelona winning the treble while Real Madrid is struggling this badly. Going back to the game, great game. 3 goals from Inter Milan to take for the second leg where they're going to play at home. Barcelona, is going to score again. Inter Milan should, and I think will, defend better at home in Italy. They will not look that vulnerable, I think. They will be more organized. They will take a lot from this game. They'll have better ideas of how to keep these Barcelona players and attackers and midfielders quiet. And they look like a complete team. I personally predict that Inter Milan is going to win the final. I think it's going to be a PSG Inter Milan final, and I think Inter Milan just overall looks like a more complete team. They look like they have the maturity, they have the experience. Obviously, they've gone to the Champions League final in recent years and lost, so you kind of need that to be able to win titles, especially a title like Champions League, and I think they now have that. They can defend, they can score, they have a great coach, their tactics, the 2 wing backs, they play really well together, and they might be the one taking it. That's what I predict, but you never know. Again, both of the games were amazing. Both second leg games are going to be incredible next week, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see. Between Arsenal and PSG, I predict PSG will be able to score more goals, even if Arsenal does score. I think PSG, that 1-0 lead right now is going to be very helpful for them, and I think PSG will finish the job next week in France. Between Barca and Inter, it's a little bit more tight because again, Barca has so much quality in the up front, and Inter Milan looks like a really good, solid team. Both teams showed today that they can defend. Both teams showed that they can score. They can compete. They're not scared. Because Inter Milan defensively is better. It's funny that I say that because they conceded 3 goals today. But I think, again, in Italy, they'll be able to defend a little bit better and maybe not concede as many goals as they did today. Just going back to what I was talking about with Lamine Yamal staying injury free and try to have that growth mindset to continue getting better as a player. One thing I'm noticing is he's still young. He's a kid. He was just 16, he just turned 17 and he's getting so much success and recognition and fame and money, etc. But that's exactly why he needs to stay humble, in my opinion, and he needs to keep his feet on the ground and he needs to not get distracted. One of the reasons why Messi and Ronaldo were able to maintain their level for so many years, almost 15, almost 20 years, was because they did not get distracted. They did not have that wild lifestyle that, for example, Ronaldinho or Ronaldo or Adriano or so many other talented players had, but they just couldn't cope with it and they crumbled, But Ronaldo and Messi were able to maintain that, stay professional, stay injury-free, stay focused on becoming the best player in the world for many, many years. And even though I say I see flashes of Messi in him, I don't see the same mindset and mentality that, for example, players like Messi and Ronaldo have had. He's too much of a party boy right now, but again, he's a kid, so I don't want to judge him too quickly, but I think he needs to just slow down a little bit. He needs to calm down. Even in the press conferences, he's getting a little bit too cocky. I don't think it's confidence. I think it's a bit cockiness. And look at what happened with Vinicius Jr. and Bellingham this season. Real Madrid had success last season. Bellingham was on fire. Vinicius was on fire. And Real Madrid was able to win the Champions League, win the league. They won the double. And, everybody, including myself, were giving so much respect to Bellingham for the way he was carrying himself. But this season, it's been the complete opposite. This season, their behavior, the way they are carrying themselves, losing their cool, losing their composure, going at the referees, going at the oppositions, constantly getting suspended, getting sent off. Just a few days ago, we learned that Rudiger is suspended now for 6 games. Vasquez is suspended because of their behavior after the El Clasico final loss, Copa del Rey final loss against Barcelona. So even though they got so much success last season, this season, they were not able to keep that cool and composure and stay focused. And as soon as they experienced a bit of hurdles on the way this season, they started to break. And it's sad to see. So Lamine Yamal, he's getting a lot of recognition and success so far this season. He needs to just slow down a bit, realize that you're not always going to be on top. You're going to face challenges. Just like he's experiencing some highs right now, he is definitely going to experience some lows. And, how is he going to react to that? Don't react like Vinicius and Bellingham and Rudiger and a bunch of other Real Madrid players this season, because we can all see how that's turning out to be. So Real Madrid needs to figure their thing out. I think Carlo Ancelotti seems to be wanting to go to Brazil. Apparently, there's a verbal agreement between Ancelotti's team and Brazil's national team federation. And apparently, Real Madrid is blocking the contract. And the reason for that, who knows if it's financial? Who knows if Real Madrid wants to make sure that they have a proper replacement? Who knows if they want to let Ancelotti go before the Club World Cup or after the Club World Cup? Apparently, Brazil wants to bring him in June as soon as the season ends, not after the Club World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I think regardless of what's happening with Real Madrid, just to show respect to Carlo Ancelotti and everything he's achieved with Real Madrid and everything he's done for Real Madrid, even though this season it hasn't been good, I think Real Madrid should respect his wishes and let him move on and just bring a short-term replacement for the Club World Cup if they can't bring in Xabi Alonso. Looks like they want to hire if they can't bring him, but try to, bring him and just move on. Let Carlo Ancelotti go. Not let it get a bit too dirty and unfortunate and negative. But again, I'm not the one making the decisions. Fiorentina Perez and the Real Madrid board and team needs to make those decisions. But hopefully everything ends on a positive note, because Carlo Ancelotti deserves a lot of respect, and his wishes should be respected. I honestly believe that. To wrap it up, I think the biggest takeaway from today's episode is there's a lot of good talent out there, and this could be a message to young players in sport, in soccer, or in life, really. Stay humble, keep a growth mindset, enjoy the good moments, know that there's going to be tough moments and challenges, and it's important to stay balanced in both those moments, not let things get into your head, to stay respectful, to stay focused on the goal, to stay focused on what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do and who you are, and good things will happen. As soon as you start losing it a little bit and getting a bit too excited, or start disrespecting yourself, opponents, competition, coaches, etc., then things go sideways a little bit. That's what I've learned personally, honestly, and that's what I see following these amazing players and careers and clubs. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Please give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and I will see you next time. Take care.